Welcome to Mindset to Results. And today we are going to speak about very important topic that is how to be healthy, how to eat healthy and have the healthy lifestyle in order you driven business owners and entrepreneurs can achieve your audacious goals. And our guest today is Chris Panny, who is Holistic Lifestyle Guide. And we are going to speak today how to you can help yourself to be healthy, inspired, and enjoy your life every day when you are moving towards your big goals. Hi, Chris.
Elena, how are you? It's good to be here.
You're most welcome. I'm excited about our episode. We are going to cover so much within the next 30 minutes. Before we start, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself? Why you do what you do? How it started? What was in your life that helped you to understand the importance of choosing healthy food and putting your health as priority?
Well, I've had a very long journey. I had 25 years of dealing with unexplained bouts of fatigue, exhaustion, tinnitus, ringing in the ears, low energy. And, I went to the doctor, tried naturopaths. I tried a number of different things to overcome this. But in every instance, I struck out, came up empty handed. I was fortunate to have lived with a chef for 10 years, so I knew how to eat healthy. But despite all of my efforts to try and overcome the fatigue, nothing worked. And in that last 5 years of the 25-year period, that was the worst. I couldn't even do 15 minutes of stretching. I work from home, so I sit in front of my computer a lot. So it's important for me to stay limber. I couldn't even do that because the next day, by the late morning, I would just get hit with fatigue. Sometimes I would have to go lay down. A few times I got sick, and yet whenever I went to the doctors, I got blood work, everything came out normal. So on paper, I'm supposed to be healthy, but in real life, it's not true. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do any exercise other than go for a walk after work. I had a lot of exercise equipment. I ended up having to sell it because I couldn't use it anymore.
So, what helped you to change that situation?
Well, um, I learned about the importance of having nutritionally dense foods. So these are foods that they have everything that we need, but they're more consolidated. So, in other words, it's healthier than just eating a regular plate of food. And I also started to do intermittent fasting. Now, I had no idea about, the environment has gotten more polluted over the decades. So there's more toxins in the air, they're in the water, they're in the foods, they get into our bodies. And if the body can't eliminate them, they can cause things like brain fog, low energy, tinnitus, allergies. Allergies have skyrocketed here in the United States. I'm not sure about over where you are. And then there's full blown illness, degenerative disease, cancers, diabetes, Parkinson's. All of this is kind of exasperated, made worse by living in a toxic environment. So intermittent fasting, the very first time I tried it out, it was tough. I remember I got a headache during the day, but the next day I slept really well. My stress had dropped tremendously. I felt more like my old self again. So I thought, wow, I'm doing something right. So that's what I have continued doing over the last 4 years, learning more about nutrition, learning more about the foods that actually don't nourish the body. They're empty calories. They're just making the food companies wealthier, but we're not being nourished. And that's the biggest thing I've learned over the past few years is nourishing the body rather than just eat for sustenance.
Yeah, that is interesting. So let's speak about this more detailed. how we can nourish our body, how we can become really consciousness about what we eat, and how to make the right choice, because we become what we eat. Yes, what we eat, what we this is how we will feel. And when people have big goals, it is so easy to be in the trap of not having time for yourself, just thinking, oh, I will do this, I will do that, and then I will take care of myself. But actually, we have to understand that we are the most important person, and if we are not consciously choosing what we eat and how we feel, it will not uh, be good for us in business also, because if we are not healthy, if we are in pain, we will not be so much productive in what we do. So let's speak today about how to make those right consciousness choices to improve our health and improve the way how we feel.
Yes, great topic to bring up. Something I enjoy talking about. So two things right off. Um, we need to eat foods that are high in protein and high in fiber. And here in the U.S., the junk food companies figured out that if you lower the amount of protein and you lower the amount of fiber, that this would create food cravings. Because the cravings are actually the body craving nutrients. But if we keep eating foods that don't have the nutrients in them, we never feel satisfied. That's why people eat so much. It becomes nervous energy, but they're not nourishing their body. It's like running on a treadmill. With everything you have, you're running and running, but you're not going anywhere. So there's a big difference in eating foods that will nourish you versus foods that don't. So that's the first thing I always tell people. Let's learn the difference between the two. Here in the US, it's a little bit tricky because companies can use they can use misinformation and colorful packaging. And they're allowed to say things on the package, but it really doesn't translate into good quality nourishment that our bodies need. So we have to learn how to navigate through the deception in the packaging here. And if we eat real foods, vegetables, fruits, whole grains, meats, fish, we're already going to be doing so much better because these are what we've been eating for thousands and tens of thousands of years. This is really what our diet consists of. It's important to stay hydrated. And I want to add to something that you said a minute ago that is really important. See, when we stop taking care of ourselves, we don't know to ask certain questions. What should I be eating in the first place? It affects here. It affects our mindset. And when our mindset gets compromised, it leaves the door open for developing unhealthy lifestyle habits. This is when we start having too much of the wrong foods because we stop caring. We don't give it the importance that it needs.
Yes, thank you for sharing. So let's speak about the food which we have to avoid, and how the food can put us in danger.
Well, a lot of the processed foods, these are foods that come in packages, and people are attracted to this because they're convenient. You don't have to know how to cook. You just need to know how to take it out of the package, warm it up, or maybe not have to warm it up. But people are lured in because of the convenience. And most of us have very busy schedules. We don't have time to go into the kitchen to cook, to prepare a meal, take an hour or even 30 minutes out. We like to have that convenience to go to a drive-through or get something from the supermarket, take it home, it's ready to go. The downside is these foods, if you read the labels, read the ingredients, artificial flavors, artificial colors, these have been linked to cancer. But see, they're cheap. They're cheap chemicals to add to make the foods look good, to make them taste good. But they're not, they're dangerous long term. Refined sugars. This is not the same thing as the sugar that you get from fruit. If you have a banana, raspberries, blueberries, those are healthy sugars. That's what we need. The brain needs this. A lot of bodily functions operate so much better when we have real sugar. But when you start eating the refined sugar, the white sugar, All that does is make your blood sugar level rise, but there's no nutritional value in it. And so many foods are loaded with refined sugars because they took the protein and the fiber out. So they don't taste good as they are. So they put this fake sugar in there, and sugar has been shown to be highly addictive. There was a study published by Harvard University, anybody can look this up, where they looked at the effect of refined sugar in the body. They said it was 6 times more addictive than cocaine. So it's no wonder people get these food cravings, and it's hard to stop.
Yes, it is all is about awareness. Yes, awareness and understanding that our life depend quality of our life depend on the food which we eat, because if we eat healthy, it will keep us healthy. Yes, it will keep us good energy, and we will be able to do so much more.
Yes, well said. Mindset is so important. I found that when I overcame the fatigue after so long, and I started to exercise again, I started to enjoy things that I had stopped for so long, running, lifting weights, yoga. I had to stop all of this, but when I got back into it, my outlook changed. I say affirmations every morning. Welcome to the best day of your life. You are the best version of yourself.
Mhm.
Um, and so many others. I actually have a short book I made, a PDF of 24 of my favorite affirmations. These help to change your mind, to get you out of depression, it gets you out of the doom and gloom. Instead of waking up in the morning and say, "Oh no, another day of this. I have to go to work, or I have to do things that don't make me happy." Instead, I start out and I'm ready to go. I feel energized. I feel motivated. It's a big difference. Mindset is so key. Um, there was a study done back in 2010 that launched a whole new science. It's called nutritional psychiatry. And in March of 2010, a study was published, and they wanted to look at mental health in women. There were over 1,000 women who participated between the ages of 20 and 93, and they looked at anxiety and depression. For the first year, everybody was on the Western diet, a lot of processed foods, refined sugars, alcohol, and they looked at their anxiety and depression levels. In the second year, they moved over to a healthier diet. It's a Mediterranean slash Japanese diet. So lots of whole vegetables and fruits, meats, whole grains, healthy foods. At the end of the second year, they said that the rate of anxiety and depression dropped between 25 and 30% when they got on the healthier diet. That's amazing. That, like you said earlier, what we eat influences how we feel. So they established a real solid connection between the two. So they're inseparable. You never feel
Yes.
guilty. You never feel guilty when you eat healthy foods. But that's
Mhm.
not the case if you eat too much junk food. You start to feel like, oh, I shouldn't have had that.
Yes, it is all about making decision to get in control. Yes, and become aware what really I want in life, how I want to look when I'm 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 or 100. Yes.
Mm.
Like
Hmm.
it just having that clear vision and understanding that if I want to look good at 70 or 80, I should make a choice what to eat when I'm already 20, 30, 40, right? Because it is not that all your life you eat junk food and then you just want to, for some miracle, be very fit and full of energy when you are 80. It will just not happen because it has compound effect.
Yeah.
Yes, like the damage which we put on our body through not making good choices, it has compound effect, and it can show that effect in 5 years or 10 years. It doesn't show immediately. Yes, when you eat something, it will not show maybe tomorrow, but it will definitely show when it is compounded in few years. So if you really have the picture of yourself, who you want to be. Yes, who you want to become. Our podcast is for driven business owners and entrepreneurs, right? So we all have big goals and dreams, and we are driven every day. So, in order to achieve those dreams, who I have to become, and it is not just having something like material things, who I want to become in the process, how I want to grow as a personality and individual, and in which health condition I want to get to my goals. Yes, because if we lose our health, if we lose energy and just somehow get to those goals, even it will not bring us joy, right? Because everything is happiness when we are happy within, and
Hmm.
it includes our health, our energy state, yes, our passion. And it is not fun when people have pains or get sick. In this time they don't feel that business is priority. Yes, when something goes wrong, they understand that priority is, they become priority, because if they cannot function the way how they should, they cannot do anything much. Yeah, so this awareness and understanding that I have to be priority of my business, of my life, and I have to take care of myself today, not tomorrow, or thinking that, oh, when I get that thing done, then I will go to gym or I will do something
Hmm.
for my food. Yeah, it is wrong, because tomorrow never comes. Tomorrow never comes. And the
Yeah.
only way to change your future is to start doing right things today.
That is so brilliantly said. I'm totally on board. That's exactly what I tell my clients. Decide who you want to be. Because sometimes people say, well, I like to have my wine, 5 nights a week, or I like my cake, I like cookies. And I say, well, all of those are fine in moderation, but you really have to decide, who do you want to be? Do you want to be the person who wakes up in pain every morning with a doom and gloom outlook on the world? Or do you want to wake up and be the person who's motivated, enthusiastic, who wants to feel good, who wants to share that with other people who are not feeling good? A lot of this, especially when somebody is new and they don't understand anything about nutrition, it can seem overwhelming because they're used to going along with their unhealthy habits. But as you stay on that wellness journey and you work with somebody like myself, who's going to be your accountability partner, you find a lot of it is easy. It gets easier with time. You learn. That's what happened with me. I learned. And when you are motivated, you're going to make the time, because you know that these are going to directly impact your life in a positive manner. And I look back, 5, 6 years ago, and I think, God, I'm so glad I'm not that person anymore. My whole outlook was very negative, and I don't have that anymore. Yes, I have my bad days like anybody else, but I'm not stuck in that rut anymore. And that's what I want to do when I work with people who are ready for change. And that's the question I ask. Are you ready to change? Do you know who you want? Excuse me. Do you know who you want to be? And then that gives me clarity as to how serious they are about getting on a wellness journey and making the changes.
Yes, very important, because so many people want a change, but not many people want to change. Yes, because it is not easy to leave your habits behind and start doing new things, because habits are very powerful.
Yeah.
Yes, they are like mostly controlled by our subconscious, by our paradigms, and we already conditioned to do certain things. And when we start changing habits, it is not easy. It sometimes it just feels like a fight, and you have to be conscious, you have to be persistent, consistent. And that is why it is so important to have somebody who will be with you in this process and hold you accountable. Yes, this is how important it is to have a mentor and coach to create the new habits,
Right.
because most of the things we do automatically without even understanding. So many people are on diet, and then they're in the party, they see the cake, and they just go straight to the cake, eat the cake. And if you ask them, aren't you on a diet? She would say, yes, I am. So why you eat the cake? I don't know. Yes, like, and we can see it so many times that we can understand something in our mind that we shouldn't do something, and still our subconscious is so powerful that it just gets us there, and we do something, and then we understand that I shouldn't do it, but still we do it. Yes. And what we know that we should do, we don't do again, because for the same reason, because our subconscious is so powerful. That's why it's so important to have somebody who really will hold your hand and hold you accountable, and help you to this way. So let's speak now a little bit about the diet. Yes, because you said that you started fasting. So, and fasting, that interval fasting, is not the same as diet. Yes, so let's speak about this. What is the difference, and why fasting is better than just going for diet, or vice versa? What is your opinion?
So, what I have learned is diets in general are based on antiquated science. So, whenever you see the word diet or you see calorie restriction or counting calories, remove those and replace it with less nutrition because the body doesn't even know what a calorie is. The body understands nutrition. So instead of counting calories, what I tell people is make every calorie count. The calorie by itself doesn't mean anything. It would be like if I said, I'm going to go out and run 10. Well, 10 what? 10 feet, 10 meters? It doesn't mean anything. And what happens long term is when you go on a diet, let's say 6 months, a year, a lot of people in the US are getting on medicated weight loss to try and curb their hunger. When they go on these programs for long term, what happens is the metabolism slows down because you're not giving it the nutrition. And if your nutrition wasn't good to begin with, let's say you weren't eating healthy foods to begin with, well, now you're getting even less nutrition. The metabolism slows down, the body doesn't perform optimally. And when the metabolism slows down, the body starts to look for other sources of energy. Now, sugar is the primary source of energy, glucose. All of us, that's the case for all of us. But if it's not getting enough of that, it starts to turn to fat, which is good, but it also turns to muscle. And this is what happens with every single diet out there. There's been studies that have proven this. And when you start to lose muscle, everything starts to go downhill. Even your ability to burn fat diminishes because the metabolism's slowing down. So diets are antiquated. In fact, Harvard University again published a study called Stop Counting Calories. You can find this on the internet. It's worth reading. It's not difficult to understand. But the whole idea of calorie counting is obsolete. This is why so many people who get on a diet, they have some success for a while, but then when they get off the diet, or if they're on it for too long, you get the same result. You end up putting the weight back on again because your ability to burn fat is compromised. This is what is not good about diets. On the other hand, if you eat healthy foods, you can actually eat more calories, but they're calories that make the difference. These are calories that nourish our body. Much different. And then to balance it out, if you want to do intermittent fasting, maybe once or twice a month for 24 hours, you want to stay hydrated when you do this. You can have a couple of snacks, but you want to keep your calorie intake to say maybe 300 calories. That's fine. That will not interrupt the fat burning process. It gets rid of a lot of dead cells in the body. It's a cleansing. And you're going to have much better results if you do something like that than if you go on a diet for long term because you're not going to interfere with the process of the metabolism. You're doing it one day. Some people will do 48 hours. It's not recommended to go more than 48 hours. Some people I've met do, I haven't eaten in 5 days. I'm like, that's terrible. And it's unnecessary. It's like you're starving yourself. So it's completely unnecessary to do that. But our bodies do so much better when we have a nice balance of a healthy diet, foods that nourish us, and then occasionally, once, maybe twice a month, even once every few months, do some intermittent fasting to make sure you maintain your weight long term. You feel so much better.
Yes, I practice this myself, and really it is so good because you feel more energy when you do fasting for 24 hours. I did 2 days. I did 2 days, 48 hours, and it feels amazing. Within these 2 days, I had water with lemon, and I was feeling so energized. And after 2 days, I also took the ice bath. Yeah,
Oh,
so I was
mm,
on the training. Yeah, so it was like 2 days intensive training with different exercises. Like we didn't eat anything, we just were drinking water with lemon, and we were doing exercises. We did so many things, activities, and at the second and at the end of the second day, we did the ice bath for I think for 2 minutes. Yes, and it was so good. Like I remember that feeling. There's so much energy, and it is a paradox. Yes, like you
yeah,
don't eat, and you have so much energy, and it is should be vice versa. Yes, like we were told that we have to eat to get energy, but actually it is not always the truth, because sometimes we should not eat to get energy, because if we just eat all the time, our body gets all these like fats and different as you said, dead cells and toxins, and we just need to give a break to our body to release all this toxin, all this what is not necessary in our body. And these like inside cleansing it, this is what
mm,
gives us energy.
yeah. Well said. Um, I don't know if you are aware of this. A lot of people are not, but every time you eat, there is some degree of inflammation that occurs down in the gut, and it's a normal response to have. But imagine if you eat all day long and you're eating foods that are not healthy, you get chronic inflammation down here, and the body becomes acidic. Our bodies are supposed to be alkalized. That's when it performs optimally. That's when the immune system works optimally. But if you're eating these bad foods and you're eating them constantly, the body becomes acidic. Well, guess what? Lots of diseases thrive in acidic conditions. Cancer is just one of them. So what happens is you're creating an environment, a breeding ground for illness to take hold and manifest. When you have poor dietary habits, you don't do the intermittent fasting, you don't do the exercising. You're literally waving your hand and saying, "Hey, disease, here I am. Come and get me." And that's like kind of what you were talking about earlier. If you're doing this day in and day out, year after year, you set yourself up for failure. So you're inviting trouble into your life, and then you have a problem when your health is compromised. Then you got a big problem at that point.
Yes, exactly. So it is so important to do this fasting at least once in 2 weeks. You can start, or ideally, it is once a week when you can have the 24 hours space between food, and you can start with smaller period of time. You can start initially from 16 hours or from 12 hours, and then just a few days you can do 16 hours, then you can do more, and then you can come for 24. And um, i from my experience, I can say that it creates very big difference, because when you become conscious about your health, about your habits, then you will become aware what you eat, how you eat. Then you become aware that you should not eat all the time, as as you said, Chris. Yes, like because some people have this habit, just they worry about something, and maybe they can have food on the table and they can watch movie and eat, not even understanding how much they eat because their attention is to the movie, yes,
Mhm.
and they can just eat an enormous amount of food that will not make them feel well. So when you start becoming aware of this, and you understand that you shouldn't eat it in between, so you eat and then you don't eat 3 hours, then you eat. So when you start creating these new habits, you will feel the result how you feel very fast.
Yes, exactly. That's the key is you start to feel better and your food cravings will change. I don't have the cravings I used to have. I don't crave ice cream. I don't crave cookies. I have them from time to time, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like you can only eat, bananas and apples for the rest of your life. That's not true. You can indulge in these other things. I love a slice of pizza from time to time. Um, Go to a birthday party, have some birthday cake. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't crave them anymore. In fact, if you know, I have ice cream in the freezer and I haven't touched it in 5 days. I had a scoop, last weekend. I just don't think about it. Instead, I go for fruits, salads. I love salads. Salads are fun because you can dress them up however you want. Coconut flakes, seeds. You can throw dried fruit in there, some olive oil, some coconut aminos to sweeten it up. Super healthy. Takes a couple of minutes. Doesn't take long at all. Much better for you than going out and having fast food. Just as
Yes.
convenient.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. So when you put yourself as priority, your health as priority, this is how your attitude start change, and then how you start making those choices which will affect your happiness and well-being in long period of time.
Yes. Um, I wanted to say one other thing about time restricted eating. People confuse this with intermittent fasting, but time restricted eating is when people cram all of their nutrients into a small amount of time, like a 6 or 8 hour window, and then they don't eat anything. When you do this day in and day out, it actually raises your risk for illness, like something like 90%. There was a study done. Um, so yeah, that's something I just want to clarify. It's not the same thing as intermittent fasting. Time restricted eating is, we don't eat that way. That's not natural to eat. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, yeah, this is important. So, is there anything else which you would like to share before we wrap up today's episode? It was so much which we discussed, and I'm sure that our listeners got so much value from this.
No, I think I covered everything. I could talk for hours about it, but I know we only have a limited amount of time. So yeah, I think I covered all the important points. So yeah, thank you.
Yes, you're most welcome, Chris. So also appreciate all people who come to our podcast and listen and dedicate themselves to be the best version of themselves and to live life with the full potential to be successful, because you all have huge potential, and it is sometimes just a little shift in that perception and attitude which can change so much for you. So thank you, Chris, for being amazing guest, and I'm looking to meet you again in our future episodes where we can speak about other topics.
Thank you so much, Elena. It was an absolute honor to be here with you today. Thanks for inviting me.
You're most welcome.